Dragon Age Origins Awakening was rated M for mature by the ESRB and contains blood, intense violence, language, partial nudity, and sexual content. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, my name is Amaronith and I play games for the internet, and today we're playing Dragon Age Origins. Last time we started our descent into the Dragonbone Wastes to fight the mother and finish her off for good, and there she is.
Never thought I'd be traveling with Grey Wardens.
Really? Really? Come on, game.
Now the pieces fall into place. The Grey Warden comes, the instrument of the Father. Oh, and the Father, he is but a shadow. Oh, how my children protect me. How they love me.
I have told you many times, Mother. I am not the Father. I am simply the Architect.
It does not change what you are. You took away that beautiful music, left us with nothing.
It was a mistake to free you. It has left you with madness. I am truly sorry.
What's done is done. The mother is a horror and must die.
But perhaps the Warden would like to hear how it was that the Father began the Blight. You want the source of the Archdemon? The one who brought all our kind to the surface? Here he is!
I was correct. All of these creatures are irredeemable fiends.
There it is then. Unfortunate. I did find the old god Athemiel, but I did not wish another Blight. I attempted my joining ritual. My hope was that this would free all Darkspawn, unravel the curse from its source. Alas, I was unlucky.
Do you even think about the repercussions of your actions?
Is it not the way of the Grey Wardens to do what must be done, in the name of combating the Blight? The Blight is a menace, both for your people and for mine. To end it requires sacrifice and risk.
And how lonely the Father was. How terrible to be the outcast, the outsider. He claims he wishes the Darkspawn to be free, but what he truly wants is to correct them.
However you feel about what I have done, the Mother is mad. She cannot be allowed to...
Begone, Shadow! You cannot harm the Mother any more than you already have. And now the hero is alone. Oh, the Mother knows your ways. You will not let her be, no, not after what she's done. So it must end. It all must come crashing down!
Oh, I wish she wouldn't jiggle so.
We'll hear the song again when we die. Oh, let it come. Let it come.
Okay.
Watch their blood. Let's get started.
You are no match for me.
Let's get started.
set it on fire! Oh. After the death of the mother, the remaining Darkspawn forces scattered and fled back into the deep roads. The raids on Amaranthine came to an abrupt end. The architect apparently kept his word, gathering his remaining disciples to follow the rest of their kind back underground. Those Grey Wardens and other nations were appalled to hear of the architect's continued existence, but were unable to track him down despite years of effort. Some within the Order have claimed that the architect's survival guarantees another blight, and yet the deep roads have lately been quieter than any can recall. Most have resignedly decided that it is now in the Maker's hands. Word of the Grey Warden's heroic salvation of Amaranthine spread like wildfire. When the magnitude of the losses at Vigil's Keep came to light, sympathy drove generous donations from all over Ferelden into the region's coffers. Amaranthine was restored to her former glory within a year, Vigil's Keep in 5. Because of the Warden's support for law and order in Amaranthine, Constable Aiden and his men were able to distribute the smuggler's goods to the battered survivors in the grueling days that followed the Darkspawn defeat. The Darkspawn messenger, set free after joining the Wardens in the Battle of Amaranthine, struck out on his own. The city soon buzzed with stories of a cloaked but lisping figure who aided travelers in danger. At the same time, reports of isolated cases of the Darkspawn disease emerged. No one connected the two. The Arling's peasants suffered greatly during the war, and suffered yet worse in the years that followed. Success at the first riot of Vigil's Keep emboldened them, and thus other uprisings followed, often put down with brutality. Although the war devastated many farms in the Arling, all agreed that the loss would have been greater without the soldiers for protection. The farmholders developed a certain reverence for the Warden Commander, as well as an ongoing reliance on the Grey Wardens for order and protection. Vigil's Keep stood alone against a horde of Darkspawn. The Mother's forces outnumbered the Vigil's defenders many times over, but the sturdy dwarven walls proved impervious to any boulder an ogre could throw. The Vigil's soldiers, clad in silverite, each felled a dozen Darkspawn before they died. The Vigil held one night, then 2, then a week, then eventually the attacking horde broke upon her walls. The keep developed an almost mythic reputation, the few survivors immortalized in song and legend. Peace allowed the Wardens to replenish their numbers. Soon, Vigil's Keep bore a capable army with the Wardens at its core. From their ranks emerged new heroes to challenge threats to Amaranthine and all of Ferelden. Through taxes and levies, the Vigil was rebuilt. Years later, Valdric Galvanock stood on the battlements and pronounced that the defenses were acceptable. He would never speak more highly of any human engineering. Dark whispers of conspiracy against the Wardens fell silent after a rash of accidents and disappearances culminated in the apparent suicide of Ban Esmeralda. The nobles of Amaranthine remained dutiful. Some even suggest they were cowed into submission. Among the many legends that the Vigil spawned was one of the great heroes of the next age, a sheep-herder turned soldier by the name of Sir Alec the Valiant, who eventually founded an order of knights that lasted 1,000 years. The commander's blade, Vigilance, crafted from the bones of an ancient dragon, was boldly stolen by Antivan crows. The blade changed hands many times thereafter, with some master swordsmen pursuing the weapon their entire lives. Some claim that this legendary blade has had a life of its own, and that its power is steadily growing. Dworkin Galvanack further refined his lyrium-send explosives, but left the Warden's employ after Canary mercenaries tried to assassinate him. Although the dwarven bombardier took his secrets with him, they learned to say he left clues for others to follow in his footsteps. The Vigil soldiers, wearing distinctive silverite armor that Master Wade crafted, came to be known as the Silver Order. Under the tutelage of the Wardens, the Silver Order developed into one of Ferelden's most revered military forces, a lasting memory of the Vigil's famous commander. With Valana and the Architect gone from the region, the Pilgrim's Path began to see traffic again. The massacre of the militiamen and the merchants, however, led to hostilities between the neighboring human settlements and any Dalish clans that passed by. One human villager soon kidnapped and murdered a Dalish child. The clans reacted by giving the Wending Wood wide berth, but both sides know that at some point the elves will return for revenge. A few years after Kalharok was emptied of Darkspawn, Orzammar began sending expeditions to rediscover the knowledge of smithing that had been lost within the Taig. Eventually, House Helmi decided that Kalharok was too important to be abandoned. At a tremendous cost of dwarven lives, they cleared the tunnels leading to Kalharal of all Darkspawn, making the road between Orzammar and the fortress safe again. Kalharal was reclaimed for Orzammar once and for all. By the time the Arling began to forget the tales of apparitions in the Arling began to forget the tales of apparitions in the Black Marsh, and ever so slowly settlers drifted into the region. Scholars said the veil was still thin, and thus the area was still dangerous, but the people only cared that there were no longer frightened whispers in the shadows. The village was slowly rebuilt. Twice the Baroness's mansion was rebuilt and occupied, once by a wealthy merchant and another time by an Orlesian mage. Both died mysteriously. Afterwards, the mansion was torn down completely and the site left untouched. The survivors of the siege at Vigil's Keep hailed Anders and his magic for holding back hundreds of the assaulting Darkspawn. In the ensuing victory celebration, the men dragged the mage to the fire to engage him in a drinking contest. Anders lost. Anders remained with the Grey Wardens a few years longer, training the Order's next generation of mages, but when the Circle Tower called on him to deliver a lecture on the nature of the Architect, much to the Templars' dismay, Anders told the Commander of the Grey that his time with the Warden was over. And yet, not 2 months later, Anders returned to the Order. Ever after, the Wardens were his home and his lasting companions. Valana never saw her clan again, but neither did she forsake her Dalish culture, nor her sharp tongue, nor her quick temper. Valana's interactions with other Grey Wardens changed her opinion of humankind significantly. Shortly after the Mother's defeat, Darkspawn stragglers, who still remained on the surface, attacked a human village. Valana was the only warden nearby, and defended the village single-handedly. She did not sneer once. Years later, on an expedition in the Deep Roads, Valana took off on her own after saying that she had seen Serani in the shadows. The other wardens searched for her, but she was truly gone. Over the next years, Nathaniel dedicated himself to the Order and to clearing blemishes on his family name. After saving Terran Fergus Kuzland from a bandit attack, a portion of Amaranthine was returned to the house. Nathaniel passed the holding to Delilah's son, and when a new castle was eventually built there, a statue of Nathaniel was erected in its courtyard. Justice served the Grey Wardens for many years, remaining in touch with Aura, the widow of Kristoff. She grew uncomfortable with the body's decay, however, and the day she told Justice she could see him no longer was the day he left the Order. Justice wished his comrades well, then Kristoff's body slumped to the ground, dead. Aura finally had a body to mourn. If the spirit itself remains alive, it has not shown itself. It was Sigrun who led the charge against the Darkspawn when Vigil's Keep was attacked. Once again, she had an army behind her, and once again they fought Darkspawn with no hope of survival. This time, Sigrun did not flee. At Vigil's Keep, Ogren rallied a last-minute defense of the gate, taking on 2 ogres simultaneously to allow others to regain the courtyard. He eventually passed out from blood loss, and when he awoke weeks later, nobody was more surprised than he to discover that he had been credited as a hero. Ogren continued to regale young warden recruits with tales of his prowess in battle and in bed. His drinking games prompted at least one recruit to declare that she'd rather reattempt the joining than lift another mug. At the warden commander's urging, Ogren took a more active role in his child's life. He visited Felsi Ulfin and wrote letters, which the warden commander graciously proofread nearly every week. As for the savior of Ferelden, she did not remain as commander of the Grey for long. The Darkspawn were no longer a real concern, and the Blight was well and truly over. It was time for her to move on. Some claim the commander reunited with the red-haired bard known as Liliana, and that they adventured together still. The pair were spotted together in Denerim a year after the Blight's end. No matter the truth, the commander never did return to Vigil's Keep. I'm gonna skip the credits only because I don't want to get this taken down because of a surprise song in the middle. So that was Dragon Age Awakening, y'all. I think we did good. I think we did good. I think Faria and Liliana had a really good happy ending. Of course, this isn't over for the LP, unfortunately. Because we still have... No, not that. That. We still have the Golems of Angarak, which is next, and last, Witch Hunt. But that's not for this episode, which took much less time than I thought it was going to. Maybe I should have fought the architect when I had the chance, but Faria is pragmatic. Needs must when it comes to ending the blight. As long as no one else dies. Weird that we said that the messenger, that we were supposed to kill the messenger and that he ended up living. But whatever. You know, that's good. I am rambling a little bit so that I can at least feel good about posting maybe a 20-minute video. Oh gosh. So, gosh, I don't even know what... I had things I wanted to say, and now I forgot what I was going to say. Which y'all should be used to by now. It's fine. It's fine. But I do hope to see you guys next time for the Golems of Amgarak. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.